Hi, I'm Coach Frank Dolan. I'm here with TJ DiMartino. We're here at Sports and Fitness Performance. We wanted to go through a few exercises to help improve speed, specifically cutting. Okay, so change of direction. TJ is going to start out. We want to always make sure we're improving function before we go through any of our movements as far as our warm-up goes, and also through our strength and power training and speed training. So he's going to start with the stick, and just specifically for cutting, we're going to definitely roll the inside part of the groin. We want to get up on the inside part of the leg, make sure all that soft tissue is worked out. He'll start with that. Obviously, we'd spend a lot more time on that, but we want to, for purposes of keeping things quick, we're going to move on to the next one. So TJ is going to grab the trigger point ball, and he's going to start on the outside part of his hip. So in his glute area, he's going to sit on either a lacrosse ball, tennis ball. In this case, we have the trigger point ball. He's just going to dig into the glute just to make sure that we're getting rid of any trigger points, areas of tightness, things that are going to restrict movement. Okay, so we want to, before we stretch, we want to get some of that soft tissue in. That's good, TJ, thanks. All right, so we'll take the ball back, and from there we're going to do a couple of stretches. One's a groin stretch, which is what he just rolled. We'll start with a half kneeling, right leg all the way out to the side. And then from this position, he's just going to set his hips down and back, stay long from the top of his head all the way down through his tailbone. He's just going to keep that straight line and sink his hips back into that stretch. You'll feel this subtly on the inside part of your groin. Some people feel it a lot more than subtly. So he'll go through about 8 to 10 reps of that on both sides, obviously, and that goes the same thing for the trigger point work. All right, then he's going to go ahead and sit into just a 90-degree front leg, 90-degree back knee, just for some external hip rotator stretch. He's going to go ahead and reach out over his front knee and front foot, okay, and he should feel this stretch underneath the bottom leg here under the glute, okay, and that's just going to open up that tissue that we just rolled out with the trigger point ball. Okay. Again, 8 to 10 reps on something like that, 2-second holds, and then he'll take the mini bands. We created some mobility through the hip. Now we want to make sure we have some glute activation and stability work. So he'll take the 2 bands, he's going to place them over his knees, and then hop up on his feet. This one's just going to be a single leg squat, hold, and he's going to rotate one foot out to the side. So he'll balance on one side, he's just going to rotate the leg out to the side. This will actually work the moving leg as well as the down leg, and obviously we're going to do both sides again. So he'll go through a set of 8 to 10 reps on both sides with that. Now we have that glute medius and glute activation going. Obviously there's a lot of other ways we can do mini band work. We do a lot of glute bridging for glute work, but that's a quick, easy way to get some quick activation in that stance. Okay, then we're going to move on to just a quick pattern. Okay, so TJ will grab the medicine ball. One thing that's important when we're working on cutting and decelerating is we want to make sure we're not just getting the hip activated, but we want to get the core fired as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is have him go through this deep squat progression. He's going to ride the medicine ball down to the ground. As he gets closer to the ball, to the floor, he's going to drop the ball. At that point that he drops the ball, his core has to kick on, and then he's going to bring his arms overhead and come out of it. So let's do one more rep like that. Lowering the hips, dropping the ball, core turns on, and lifting out. Actually, do one more, TJ. Just one thing that's happening here is that the ball is providing for TJ an anterior weight shift, which makes it easier for him to sit his hips back. His core has to turn on when he lets it go, and he's actually learning the squat from the ground up. Real good corrective off of a lot of the Gray Cook and Lee Burton stuff from the FMS. That's one important one, to hip hinge correctly without losing that core stability, and actually get the core to fire first. Okay, so we'll move from that to just a simple movement prep exercise called a lateral lunge. He'll start with his feet wider than hips width apart, toes pointed straight ahead, and he's just going to alternate back and forth to each side. Again, after doing that exercise, this should be a lot easier because now he's got his core on first before he hinges his hips down and back. And this is going to be important when we're decelerating and coming out of a cut. Okay? Not only going to speed us up, but make sure we're nice and durable so we don't get injured. So we're protecting the knee, the ankle by a good, strong, stable hip and core going through that range of motion when we're hinging our hips. From there, we're going to go into a resisted lateral base. So we'll take this mat out of the way, and he's going to hop in. We happen to be using the Kaiser here. You don't have to have a Kaiser for this. You can use regular resistance bands. The Kaiser is just a lot nicer to use because it's all air pressure and you can move at any speed. So what we'll do is we'll load that up, and TJ's going to go ahead and walk out a distance and he's going to just go ahead and move through a lateral base position. So he'll just go ahead and step and base and step and base and step and base. Right now he's got 17 pounds of air pressure pulling him into this hip. So he's got to decelerate on every step. Right? We want to make sure we can decelerate before we work on stopping and cutting. So that's why this is important. Okay, so all of those little movement prep exercises are leading up to this, prepping the hip for this type of activity. Seems like a really simple thing. Most people just jump into the cutting and agility drills, and they never really address any of these issues. Number one, it opens you up to most likely be injured, and two, it's going to make you not as fast as you really could be. Okay, so from there, let's just show one more, a little bit more fun. We're going to go with the progression off of this. This is just a deceleratory shuffle. So he's going to go ahead and shuffle into the machine and decelerate into that hip. Okay, go ahead again. So nice and quick across. And again, he's got 17.6 pounds pulling him in this direction. He's got to decelerate. So that was really quick, the deceleratory phase of cutting. It's important to have that first before we go into the concentric action of cutting, going in the next direction, right? Decelerate first, then you can accelerate into the next movement. Thanks for watching this. If you need some more information, you can go to sportsandfitnessperformance.com or coachfrankdolan.com. You can find me. You're probably watching this on Facebook or YouTube. You can find me there as well. Thanks, TJ, for helping out, and please stay tuned for more videos just like this.